So the first one, this is what makes up burnout. So exhaustion, no surprises, right? Physically exhausted, which can lead to an anxiousness and even a depression, according to the World Health Organization. Feeling drained and unable to cope. Now, I imagine that probably most people have felt some of that over the last 6 months. Doesn't mean you're burnt out. I don't want you to think that this session is about convincing you that you're burnt out. It's not. I just want you to start looking through a lens so that we're taking care of ourselves, yeah? So exhaustion is the first one. So this is about individual stress, yeah? Feeling drained and tired. Okay, again, reflect for yourself on what that means for you. Yeah, it doesn't mean we're burnt out. This is one part of 3 parts, but no doubt at some point, most people have felt that over the last 6 months. The next one is cynicism. Cynicism. So this is about, and so this is what really was interesting for me, these next 2 points, because yes, that was obvious for me in my experience of burnout around the age of 30. Very, very true for me was the exhaustion, and just kept pushing and pushing. Cynicism, and I'll tell a little bit of my story a bit later. Cynicism then is about the work environment where we're blaming others. So we move into, because of this, we move into a blame. We also start to consider the work environment as toxic. Yeah. And we start to remove ourselves from our role, from our job. So we start to become disconnected from how we identify with the job or our role in it. So we start to remove ourselves from that. Yeah. And so then the third one is professional inefficacy. And what that means is, and this was a light bulb moment for me actually when I was researching and investigating, you know, what the system says is burnout, because I knew what I felt was burnout, is the not being able to do our job to the best of our ability. And that was absolutely true for me. And to the point where I was made redundant, and it was a complete failure for me in my eyes at that time. And so this is a drop in performance. Yeah. And so when we identify ourselves so strongly with our work, which is what I did at the time, then a drop in performance was very shameful for me, and not something that I even connected with as shame at the time, because, you know, at 22 years ago, I hadn't done any work on shame or anything like that. I hadn't read any Brené Brown books or had done any studies on that. So now I can reflect back and go, yes, there's a lot of shame about that. And, you know, I'll share a bit about that story, but the drop in the ability, but also the desire and not knowing why, and the confusion that comes in because of that, because we know ourselves to be able to perform in our role, then that suddenly we're being judged by others as not being able to. That can be devastating. It certainly was for me. So these are the 3 things that the World Health Organization say make up burnout. Yeah. So Jazz says, I had a moment over the last month ago when I realized I'd been experiencing burnout. Yes. And it can be because the definition and the understanding of looking through this lens can help us have some compassion for ourselves, rather than keep pushing ourselves or judging ourselves harshly for why aren't we keeping up, or why aren't we performing in the way that we think that we should and others think that we should. Yeah. So make sure you got those 3 things down, because they're really important and help us understand where we're at in our own journey, and whether it's now or in the future.